A woman in her mid-30s and a man in his mid-30s sitting in a Tesla in one of the busiest areas of downtown Seattle, the Belltown neighborhood, when they were shot. And it turns out the woman was pregnant. She is dead. Her unborn child is dead. The male who was shot in the vehicle is recovering. It sounds like he's going to be all right. But this is just devastating. And again, I hate to even think about the MLB All-Star game, but I think it underscores that downtown Seattle is not a safe place to be. And there's still a lot about this that we don't know. Certainly one of the big questions is, was this just random? Was this just a random occurrence of violence, which is the scariest kind? When you really think about people just minding their own business, be it the tourists who we've talked about visiting the city who've been attacked. If you're working downtown, I always think about that Amazon employee who got hit in the back of the head with a baseball bat. I think about the 60-something-year-old nurse who got pushed down a flight of stairs while she was using Westlake Station. And so, worst case scenario is that this was just a completely random attack. Now, there is, in absence of information from the Seattle Police Department, there is a little bit of information we have about what happened in the minutes leading up to this, because there is this is the first time I've actually ever heard about this particular app. There is an app that sends alerts if you're signed up to citizens. If something's happening in your area, you get a little alert and you can kind of, be on the lookout for what's going on. So at 10:36 a.m. yesterday on the Citizen app, there was an alert put out saying, man with rifle jutting from backpack. Officers have made eyes on a man who appears to have a real rifle in his backpack. So again, that's 10:36 a.m. And then the reports started coming out about a shooting, and the Seattle Police Department at 11:16 a.m. said police investigating a shooting near the intersection of 4th Avenue and Lenora Street. One victim located with a gunshot wound. Please stay out of the area. More information when available. So it seems like common sense would tell us that those two things were related. Now, again, it sounds, for all intents and purposes to me, it sounds like this was a random incident. Obviously, we're waiting for information or confirmation on that from the Seattle Police Department. They did arrest someone. That person is in custody at the King County Jail. But again, a woman and her unborn child dead. Absolutely horrific. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell, in the evening yesterday, he had a press conference that was pre-scheduled that had to do with sending a housing levy to voters. And as soon as he came up to the microphone, he did mention this.
Within the last several hours, we suffered a tragedy on the streets of downtown Seattle. You'll read more about it tonight or tomorrow. It involved a shooting and a very fortunate situation. We don't know what motivated it. We do have the suspect. We do believe at this point, I think a life was lost, and it's very sad. And I don't generally try to start off a great event with that kind of sad news. Excuse me. But I think it's important to ground this celebration into what's happening in our city, that they are relying on us. They're relying on us for hope to deal with these complex issues of recklessness and violence, housing insecurity. And we have to be rooted in love and compassion.
Yeah, we are counting on you. And visitors to the city and people who work downtown, who live downtown, are counting on you as well. This man and woman in this Tesla and her unborn child, we're counting on city leadership as well to keep them safe in an area of the city where they should be safe. So we are going to be obviously eagerly awaiting information from not only the Seattle Police Department, but King County prosecutors when documents are released that talk about whatever a motive may be. I will just say, though, this morning already, more shootings in Seattle. Jeremy Harris, who I believe is with Como News, he sent out a tweet a couple hours ago saying 3 people have been shot in Seattle this morning. The first shooting happened near a bus stop on North Aurora Avenue. 2 men in their 30s were shot, both expected to survive. We also saw officers in a nearby homeless encampment. And again, we've said this over and over and over. The vast majority, when it comes to the biggest tie that shootings have to any single issue, be it gang violence, domestic violence, homelessness, the single biggest tie is to homelessness. Either the victims are homeless, the perpetrator is homeless, a shooting happens, a homicide happens near, in and around a homeless encampment. And it's one of these other reasons why I've said it's not compassion to leave people living in the streets in those conditions, because oftentimes we know this, are disproportionately likely to be the victim of a violent crime, including a shooting. And that's why, these whole stop the sweeps people and all of that, to me, it's just outrageous. I will also say about this shooting scene, there were some reports coming up and through the scanner that they thought there were even more victims. You know why? Because there were people nearby on the sidewalks overdosing. So near where the shooting happened, there were people who basically looked dead because they were overdosing on drugs. So there'd been a shooting, so Seattle police were confused about just how many victims they had. Let that sink in. That's insane. And this is supposed to be a beautiful, active part of the city. We're expecting tourists from across the country to come in a month for the MLB All-Star Game. And to me, the MLB All-Star Game is the furthest freaking thing from my care and concern. I mean, you've got pregnant women being shot to death in broad daylight in what used to be one of the most wonderful cities in America. I mean, for the love of God, I've said we shouldn't invite anybody to our city. We can't keep the people who are here safe. Insane.